Welcome to another episode of Discovering the Last Frontier. In today's episode, we're going to go on an epic mountain goat hunt on Kodiak Island. I've got 3 friends and family flying up from Minnesota, joining me at our camp on Kodiak. Then we're going to travel to the hunting spot and really do our best to try to track down some mountain goat. We have a plan, and the plan was pretty good, but very quickly the weather turned and it really became a situation where we were just fighting for our own survival. So stick around through the whole episode. There's a lot of plot twists in this one, and if you make it to the end, you'll see how it all turned out for the crew. All right, I'm finally here on Kodiak Island. I had a great flight from Homer up to Anchorage, then Anchorage into Kodiak. Ended up having to go the flight option because the ferry broke down a couple of days ago, so I had to scramble a bit, catch flights. But I'm here, I'm on the rock, which is great. I'm a few days ahead of the rest of the goat hunters, so I'm gonna get supplies in town, run them out to camp, get camp ready, and hopefully be all set up for the group when they arrive to do some mountain goat hunting. So really looking forward to it. The weather's absolutely beautiful today. Couldn't ask for better weather today. Hopefully this kind of weather holds out for the next week or so. We'll see. So I'll catch up with you tomorrow once I'm headed out to the property. Okay, I've got the boat launched. I'm headed out to Vicota Bay. Goat hunters are showing up in 2 days, so I've got some stuff to get ready on the boat. I've got some stuff to get ready in camp. I got to get my pack ready so that I'm totally prepared for climbing up the mountain. And I'm just motoring now almost to Whale Pass, which is a really cool spot. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say tens of thousands of gulls, terns, you name it here. There must be just a ridiculous amount of feed.
All right, we are traveling to go see Lucas at Kodiak, and we're traveling from Minneapolis. We're heading to Seattle, and then going to Anchorage, and then Anchorage to Kodiak, then meeting Lucas, and then he will take us by boat out to the place where we're going to follow these guys doing a mountain goat hunt. So it's a full day of travel. We'll try to document some things along the way just to give people an idea what it takes to get from the Midwest to the remote parts of Alaska.
Okay, I made it to Vicota Bay and I'm nearly at our property. So far so good, just kind of looking at the stairs, no big logs or anything. I've banged into those, caused any problems, and hopefully no bear have messed with the camp. That's always kind of a question when we get here. And down here it looks like no bears went through our screen door, which is great. You can sort of see it there through the trees. Still got my boards across. Awesome. Okay, here's some gear on the shore. I'm dinghying it up. I got the boat anchored there. I got a few more trips to make. I'll put a pile here. Tide's going out, so I don't have to worry about that. Once it's all on shore, I'll put the boat on the mooring. So, making good progress. I'm actually looking right at the mountain where we're going to do the goat hunting. It's about 10-12 miles away, but well within view of our property. So really cool. I mean, big tall peak. I think it gets up to 3,400 feet right from sea level. It's going to be a challenge getting up and in there, but the crew seems up for the task. So really excited. It's on the other side of Unguided Island. So in the near, in your view here, what is near to us, that land is Unguided Island, and then you can see this mountain off in the distance. That's the mountain we're going to hunt goat on, which is behind Unguided Island. So there's actually Unguided Strait goes between this near point in the island, and then it actually wraps around and goes back out into Shelikof Strait. So there's actually water between Unguided Island and that peak that we're looking at back there where we're gonna go hunt. So really cool. After spending a couple of days getting the camp ready for the goat hunters, I hopped on the boat and made the 33-mile trip back to the Anton Larson boat landing. Our truck is stored at the landing, so I was able to jump in and make the 13-mile trip through the mountain pass to the Kodiak airport. The day has come where they're gonna show up. I gotta grab a few supplies in town before I pick them up, but so far so good. I'm on time and should meet them at the airport basically right when they land. So we'll finally get caught up with them, and then we'll make our way out to Vicota Bay, spend the night at our camp tonight, and all things willing, head to the hunting grounds tomorrow morning. So we'll see how we do. Looking forward to finally meeting up with them.
Got him.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So just to give you some perspective on where we are, here's the whole state of Alaska. We've got the Aleutian Islands coming out here over towards Russia. This is the Alaskan Peninsula, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer there. So we flew into Anchorage. Here's Ketchimak Bay and Homer right here, and we're down on Kodiak Island, and this is the Kodiak Archipelago. So Kodiak, Afognak, Shuyak, several other islands in here. So if we look straight out from where we are right now, we're actually looking at the Alaskan Peninsula and Katmai National Park. So if I zoom in, you can see we are within Kodiak Island. We're actually in Vicota Bay. So that's this bay right here within Kodiak Island. We're going to go down through Unguided Passage. So that's created between Kodiak Island and Unguided Island, which is right here. We're going to go through Unguided Passage and get right down to the southernmost tip of the Unguided Island. And we're going to tuck into a little cove down there, and then we're going to hike up to the mountain that's right here on Kodiak Island. So that's just kind of the path that we're going to take to get to the hunting spot. So the real journey begins. We are just south of Unguided Island on the coast of Kodiak Island. We're about to climb up 1,800 feet from the coast to get up into the Alpine region where we're hoping to set up base camp and ultimately start glassing for goats tomorrow. So the first big decision that we have is how we're going to get up there. We debated for a little bit. There was a little clearing down the shore, might be a maybe less steep option, but then there's this option, which is to go right up a creek. So we've actually decided we're going to go up the creek and give it, our best effort. In the end, it might prove to be the wrong decision, but it's a decision we're all going to live with. So wish us luck as we make our way up. Our boat is moored about a mile from here. It's in a little tiny cove. We just put an anchor down. We've got about 100 pounds down there, and we're hoping that that boat stays tight for the next 3, 4, 5 days, however long it takes. So wish us luck as we begin our journey. This is a bad idea coming in here. All right, we are beat, we are wet. I'm using the sweat from my brow to flush the leaves out of my eyeballs as I climb up this hill. We are up 650 feet in elevation. We have to go about 1,800 to get to where we're hoping to camp, so we're over a third of the way up. I checked the distance. We're actually up about 4/10 of a mile, so we're over a third of the way in distance as well. So we're making good progress, but it's been tough sledding. We've been going through a lot of alderbrush, Devil's Club, cricks and little ravines and everything else. Everything you can imagine, that's what we've been going through. So I would say we're all pretty beat, but we're optimistic that we're going to get there within the next 3 to 4 hours. So making progress. It was exactly what I expected. A lot of work, a lot of sweat, some tears, Brandon, but all in all, not too bad.
I've done a fair amount of hiking over the years, but this hike that Lucas has invited us to partake in could easily be the most difficult hike I've ever done. It has a lot to do with the terrain. You know, most hikes I've done in the past, you're just hiking a trail that already exists, and there is no trail. And this terrain is absolutely crazy. Not only is it thick, but there's thorns on just about everything. And the elevation is steep. So we're doing our best to climb up. And hopefully we'll make it to camp at the desired location. Because you wouldn't want to camp in any of this area. I don't even know how you would. So we're going to keep on going. There's a bug in my ear. As soon as I take a little breather.
I'm at about 1,000 feet of elevation. I'm just laying in some devil's club. Lots of thorns. The thorns are like third on my list of things that are wearing me down right now, so not even paying them any attention. She's steep. She's brushy. Can you hear me, Zach? Oh, yeah. Okay. Zach's below me. Gavin and Brandon are further down the ridge that way. They're headed towards a creek, hoping that that'll be easier passage. We're playing the telephone game to communicate back and forth, so Brandon yells to Gavin, Gavin yells to me, I yell to Zach. That's how we've been communicating. It's tough sledding. Certainly not for everyone. At some moments it's not for me, but I'm overcoming those. I'm still in it. I can see where we need to get to. The saddle is not too crazy far away. I mean, it's less than a half mile. You'd think, how hard is it to go a half mile? It's real work. It's real work. But we forge on. Check in again, probably around 1150 to 1200 feet in elevation. I'm going to work my way towards that creek that Brandon and Gavin are working towards in hopes that it's better. Because this, no bueno. Telephone game. I hear Gavin yelling to Brandon. I can't hear Brandon, but then Gavin yells to me. Okay, Brandon's still working towards the creek. Gavin's in between me and Brandon. Zach's almost to me. I'm going to hand him a granola bar, and I'm off to the races. By the way, the view from up here is actually really awesome. You can see where I'm panning now. That's a Unguided passage that goes out to Shelikoff Strait. The landmass straight in front of me right now is Unguided Island. And Unguided Passage continues to the right on the screen.
Trying to see if I can see Luke on the Garmin, but he must not have his on.
So I'm almost there. It's 6:45 p.m., 45 minutes from sunset. The rest of the group's still trailing, but we yelled back and forth, and we all agreed I'll go start a fire and start boiling water for dinner. This is cool. Look at that. Our own little mountain goat hunting extravaganza. So cool. Anyways, I'm sitting there waiting for them glassing, and I actually saw my first 3 goats. They're up on the mountainside, not far from our camp. I'm going to zoom into one and show it to you. Okay, it's right in the center of the shot, broadside. Super exciting. We're in goat territory.
Okay, little update. Nobody's legs work anymore, except probably Lucas. He's pretty good at this stuff. That over there is a lake, and I believe that's where we're headed, and Lucas should be there. Yeah, I don't know where the others are. I think they're behind me. Hope they're behind me. But we're almost there, I think.
All right, so as I was editing the video footage from this portion of the trip, I realized there were some very important pieces missing from the storyline, so I'm going to briefly fill in the gaps. The reality is, I think I was a little bit delirious towards the end of the hike, and I forgot to continue to document moments along the way. So Lucas got to camp first, probably an hour or so before the rest of us, and Gavin got there next, and Brandon and I rolled into camp around 9 p.m. And so we started the hike probably about 1:30 that afternoon, so it was quite the push, both physically and mentally, to get there through the steep and rough terrain. We were soaked, hungry, probably a bit dehydrated, and the temps dropped to the mid-30s Fahrenheit after dark. Gavin and I set up our basic 2-man backpacking tent, and Lucas and Brandon had a slightly larger 3-man tent. We made some dehydrated meals, filled up our water bottles from the lake at the top of the mountain, got some dry clothes on, and we're getting ready for a good night's rest. Little did we know, the nightmare was just about to begin. Well, it's been a long hike to get here, but we did get here. We got to the top, and then we got a little bit of food, got our tent set up, and here we are at what is it, 2 or 3 in the morning, and it's probably a good chance we're not going to get a lot of sleep. I hope Alaska can be a little calmer real soon. So this crazy storm started up around midnight. We figured probably 50 to 60 mile an hour winds with heavy rain. I spent the majority of the night keeping my arms up, holding the tent from smacking us in the face and trying to keep things as dry as possible. Then sometime early in the morning, between 6 and 8, I suppose, not sleeping a wink all night, our tent decided to give way to the storm. The rain fly and the poles holding our tent literally flew off, and we were completely exposed to the storm. And so Gavin and I tried to reconstruct the tent, but the tent poles were bent beyond repair. I started yelling to the guys in the other tent to let them know we needed help. And the other side note is we had set up an electric fence around camp to protect us from bears, but we had slid dangerously close to the fence during the storm, so we had to shut it off. So Lucas came out, tried to help us with the tent, but there was no other option than to jump in the tent with those other guys. So the only thing we had time to grab was our wet sleeping bags, and the rest of our gear was blowing around the mountain in the storm. So now we have 4 dudes in a 3-man tent weathering a storm that continues for another full day and full night.
So it's 8 a.m. and the wind is so bad we are down to 1 tent. The other tent has blown apart. Our tent is starting to fail. We've got a big hole in it. The poles are pulling apart. We're basically holding the tent over us, just trying to stay dry until the wind subsides. Doing our best to try to get through the next 4 hours. This tent has a huge hole in it. Brandon's holding that shut. Thanks, Brandon. The poles have actually come apart. I'm not sure if they're broken, but I'm holding the upwind side down, the windward side down with my feet and my shoulder. Zach and Gavin are trying to put on a 3rd and 4th pair of socks. And we're just trying to get through this wind. It is unbelievable right now. We do have a tarp in here, so worst case, we've got a plan where we're going to pull the tarp over us and hold down the corners and just ride it out. So, Zach, tell me, what's been the best part of this trip so far? The hike up the hill or the overnight tent experience?
I would say it's been a fairly miserable 24 hours from beginning to end, except for the moments when I would turn around and see the view.
That's true.
Incredible view. And actually this place is super cool too, but it's just like not good weather, obviously. So we kind of rolled in when it was dark last night, so I would like to see it today. But first we're gonna have to find all our stuff that's blowing all over the place. So.
Yeah, the good news is we see one of Zach's shoes by this tent, even though it wasn't put by this tent. So we know he's got 1 shoe left. That's probably one of our biggest worries right now, is if one of us has lost one or more shoes, because it's blowing so hard, everything's just blowing around, and if you don't have shoes to get down that mountain, it's going to be a problem. Good news is, I think we've figured out that we have at least a dozen pair of wool socks, so you might see someone hiking down with 6 pairs of socks on. We'll see. Gavin?
I felt the same amount of frustration when the tent collapsed and when we were going through a thick brush. So I'd say they're both about equal with each other.
Okay.
But again, the view was beautiful, and we saw some mountain goat, and I saw black-tailed deer as well.
Yeah, sweet. Brandon?
I would have to say that the climb up was worse than the tent experience. And that's only because my tent hasn't blown away yet.
Brandon is in my old spot. I'm in his old spot, holding the hole in the tent shut. And a couple of us used the restroom, and we learned a lot more about the expression about peeing into the wind. Not recommended. It's calmer down there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
So at some point during the midst of the storm, while it was daylight, we discovered that our tent had shifted several feet by the strength of the wind, and we were right on the edge of some big rocks that border the small lake nearby. So we decided it would be safer to get out and relocate our tent to a nearby ravine and search for some missing gear, especially our hiking boots and rain jackets. Thankfully, none of our gear blew into the lake because there were many small bushes to catch things along the way. Gavin had to hike quite a ways up the side of the mountain to retrieve his sleeping pad, though.
Well, it's about 4 p.m. We're in our new location. The tent is reset. You can tell the wind is less. In addition, we have put the stakes back in the tent. We've got some lines going out and staked to try to stabilize things. And then we're down in this depression, so I think all of that kind of helped. It's too late to make a run back to shore, so we've got to spend another night. We've reached out to folks with our inReach, and what we've heard is the wind is supposed to taper starting at midnight, and the rain should be ending around morning. So we're hoping like heck we can pack up and get out in the morning. I think we're all wet. I think our sleeping bags are all, if not wet, very damp. And we've got 2 sleeping mats under us in a 3-person tent. And there's 4 of us. So it's very, very cozy. Yes. I've gotten to know everybody much better. So, yeah.
Dripping all over.
So I'm trying to charge my phone, but it's detecting water in the charger port, so I'm trying to heat it up to evaporate the water out of there. So we're using our jet boil in new and creative ways. I need my phone because it's the interface with the inReach, which is our satellite communication device. So I have one and Brandon has one, and there's a chance we're going to be splitting up today into 2 groups, and so we need both our phones, and both of our inReach is working, and I currently cannot charge my phone, so we're trying to heat it up with the jet boil, dry it out, and then hopefully we can charge it up and get both units back in action. Well, we survived the night. It was a long night up until about midnight. At about midnight, the wind really died down, which was great. We were all able to get some sleep. The rain continued, but that eventually stopped as well, which was very encouraging. We woke up this morning, clear skies, we can see all the mountains around us. We've just kind of been getting things organized, packed up, etc. But what we're going to do is make a push, and the reason we're making a push is we can actually see 6 goat from our camp. We have one on the mountain to the west of us, and then we've got 5 on the mountain to the east of us. So we're going to actually go to the east and see if we can't get into range with one of those goats. So that's the plan right now. Our goal is to get up there, get a goat, break it down, pack it down, and then pack down to the shore and get on the boat tonight. There's some chance we're going to be into darkness for the last hour or so, but we're this close, we might as well make a push. So wish us luck as we head up the mountain. Yeah, they're both still there. So we see 2 bellies. They're at the top of the peak. Really, our best way to go at them is up this side over here where the slope isn't quite as severe. But on the other side of that slope, there's tons of mountainside that we haven't glassed at all. So what we're thinking about doing is poking up over that, see what the closest goat is, the closest billy. And if nothing's closer than that, we consider that. We've also got 3 more that we've spotted up in this area. And just based on our angle right now, I think they're behind rocks. So those might be better options once we get closer too. So we're gonna go up here, reassess, see what we got within our view, and go from there. We're in a good position right now because in the cool mornings, the top of the mountains are relatively cool. The water is relatively warm, so the airflow tends to go down the mountain. Now the sun has been out, it's heated the top of the mountain, and we can feel the air coming up the mountain. So we don't have to worry about coming over this peak so much and having the air going down and carrying our scent to them. We can kind of get up above them, hopefully, and not have them wind us. It gives us an opportunity to try to put a stalk on one if it's relatively close. So that's what we're going to do, get up and over here, start glassing, figure out the best opportunity. So I've studied goat a bit, and not as much as most hunters. I mean, I'm a total novice. Like, we're the crew that has a boat and has some land, and so we just boated to a spot and literally didn't hire a float plane, just climbed a mountain, and now we're trying to find goats. So we're not experts, but in my experience with goats, I see a lot in the spring, way down on the coast, and I think they're down there on south-facing slopes because those warm up first. You get green grass and they can feed in those low-lying areas, and they don't have to worry about bear because they're hibernating. But as soon as it starts getting greener further up the mountain, they just keep moving their way up to get to safer areas where the bear are less likely to get them, and then they spend their summers as high as they can and still eat. That's my guess as to what's going on here. So I think it's still too early for them to be lower. So I think it makes most sense for us, because we've seen 6 goats now, and they're all at like 2,000, 2,200 to 3,000 feet. We're at about 2,000 right now. I think we should go up on that knob and look that north-facing slope. I think we should follow this rock and grass and poke over that edge and then see what we see on that face. I think we're more likely to see them there than we are down here. They're too vulnerable. find something. We know there are at least 5 goats ahead of us because we were glassing them on our side of the mountain this morning. It's just a matter of where they've wandered to since we last saw them. So we'll keep climbing the rock here, get on the ridge, go from there. And we don't know where the others are. Hopefully safe. We're at the top. No goats in sight. Hopefully we can find one within the next 10 minutes. Otherwise I'm calling it. Because I want to go back to camp tonight. We'll see what happens. I just spotted 2 goat. Lucas is on his way over here. How far away are they? 100 yards.
All right, so Lucas and Gavin went around the mountain looking for goats. We were kind of waiting for a while. We heard a gunshot. It echoed through the whole canyon, and we kind of wondered, okay, did he get a goat? Did he not get a goat? We saw some goats running over, but it's been, I don't know, a couple hours that they've been gone.
Couple hours. We had the opportunity to take probably 3 shots at 3 different goats. They were coming down the mountainside pretty fast. 2 of them never stopped, and the one was a pretty far shot, but I think we could have took it. But we were debating on hearing from Lucas, and
We had no way to communicate.
We had both of the Garmin inReaches, so
Didn't plan that one out.
We kind of were banking on Lucas getting one.
Yeah, so we are patiently waiting, hoping they're going to show up around one of the corners here pretty soon, because it's starting to get a little bit dark. So hopefully we'll see them soon.
So Gavin and I, we went up to where we almost got a shot at him, and kind of walked around the mountain. So Gavin and I gathered up our things, and I forged ahead. Gavin followed me, and then he went on one side of the mountain, I went on the other, thinking it was right down below, and he could get another perspective as I came up around on it, and we couldn't find it, and we both circled back. And when we circled back, I saw it actually back under where we were when we first saw them, so they kind of backtracked in the direction we came from. I quickly got on a rock, and one was broadside. I had it at 125 yards. I laid on the rock, scoped in on it. I waited literally 15 seconds while it was broadside. Just let my heart rate go down. I had the crosshairs on it. I felt really good. Took the safety off, slowly pulled the trigger, and instantly that goat went behind the rock. And so I just kind of waited, reassembled with Gavin. We went over there, and We've been looking a long time. We can't find any sign, almost like it was a complete miss. There's no blood. While we were looking, we came over the peak, and if the goat would have had continued in that direction and kept going another 150 yards, it could have been up on this ledge. Well, Gavin and I came over the ledge, and Gavin spotted it, and he said, "Hey, there's a goat." And I was like, you know, if it's the one I shot and it's still moving, I don't want to shoot again, because clearly something's not right, my scope, something. Or if it's a different goat, I certainly don't want 2 goats up here, wounded, or worst case, you know. So we let that go, and then we searched some more, and fortunately we can't find any signs. So I feel like we've given it our all, looking for any sign of a hit, and I think it was just a clear miss. I don't know what happened, so I'll have to get back to camp and shoot the gun and see if the scope's off or something. So I don't know, it's disappointing, but I'm glad it was a clean miss. It was a heck of an adventure. I'm glad we came up here. It was work, it was real work, but just didn't end how we were hoping. But we'll keep trying. We're going to be making our way back now. We'll keep a lookout for that goat, but I'm 99% sure it was a clean miss. So make our way back, get some water in us, get some food in us, and then probably head out tomorrow, see how things go.
There's camp down there. We're almost back. Just finished the last of our water.
To say that we're beat is an understatement. We learned a lot on that push about what supplies to bring with and how much. Definitely feel like I'll be better prepared next time, but you don't know till you try either. One last push to camp. We can do her, Gavin.
There we go.
So Gavin and I made it back to camp about probably an hour ago. Zach and Brandon had some food for us, which was great because we hadn't eaten yet today. We were both pretty exhausted, could hardly, I couldn't even make it to the tent. I kind of collapsed on the moss before I even got there. We were pretty beat. So they told us the story of what they saw with the goats and how they ran after we shot and how some got really close to them. And then we kind of told our story of the goat that I took the shot at, missed, and we looked and couldn't find it. Well, as we're sitting here, I start glassing the mountain, and I'm glassing the area where I was and where the goat was when I shot, and just to the left of it, there's a white spot. And kind of looking and studying that area really close, what I could see is there was a rock on the right side of the white spot, and there's a rock behind the white spot. And it's literally in a cavern that you couldn't have seen from above and you couldn't have seen from the side we were looking at. So I'm kind of thinking I hit the goat, and it's there and it's dead. So we're kind of wondering, what do we do now? We don't have enough daylight right now, but it's cold. It's cool. I mean, it's like 33, 34 degrees. So the meat will be fine if that is the goat. So we are 600 yards away from it. And what we're going to do in the morning is we're just going to shoot right up to it and confirm it's the goat. Because if it's still in that same spot, that goat's not alive. And it's very likely the one that I shot at. So I may not have missed, may have actually been a decent hit. It looks like it's laying there, and we're gonna have to give a run at it in the morning and basically scale this mountain one more time and see if that's it.
It was a little chilly last night. Everything's frozen over. But we survived another night. Snuggled up like sardines in the tent. What do you see?
I don't see it. I think it's moved on. It had to be a clean miss, because it's I mean, it's nowhere on this face of the mountain, you know, so it was probably just hanging out there and it's moved on now. If it was wounded, there's no way it could have survived the night and then climbed all the way up and over the mountain or around it either way. It was kind of in the middle of this face, which I'm glad. I'm glad it's probably just fine, you know, just total miss at the end of the day. You know, when we were talking this morning, the thing I sort of forgot about in that windstorm, and you mentioned it this morning, but in that windstorm, you know, we had to move the tent down into this like little valley here because it was so strong, and when we pulled the tent over, we were kind of pulling it right over the rocks and everything. And my gun was inside the tent the whole time, and we were just dragging it right over rocks, so my gun was just getting battered. And I mean, there's a chance my scope's just off, you know. It went through the ringer that night, so definitely gonna have to get back to camp and try to sight her in, but I don't know. That's my best guess at this point. I was really calm. I waited a long time. I waited 15 seconds with the crosshairs right on, you know, the kill zone before I slowly pulled the trigger, and I just can't foresee missing it, you know, at the range I was at, so we'll have to do the test and see what happens. Goats 1, Lucas 0.
All right, so it's day 4, and Lucas just discovered that the goat he thought he hit yesterday that he was gonna go after this morning, it's gone. So, but they found another goat over that direction, and so Lucas and Brandon are heading on up right now to see if they can get this other goat. Gavin and I are hanging out back here. We're going to start packing up the tent. One way or another, we're going to get down the mountain today, because I don't know if we can make it another night out here.
Won't.
But the tricky part about that would be we've got to carry a lot more gear down so they can basically carry the meat down. And so we'll see. We do have the inReach in place, so we can kind of communicate with these guys from a distance. They can let us know if they get something or not. So we'll see how it goes. We're just kind of waiting to see if they get this other goat.
It's down. It's down. Oh, nice shot. Holy shit. Nice shot. First one went left. Did you see it? Yeah. The rock exploded. And it turned broadside.
That was perfect.
And tatered it.
That was perfect.
Those guys just fired 2 shots at the goat. On the second one, we saw it drop. They just confirmed and texted us on the inReach and said they did get it on the second shot, so they got a goat.
So, it was nearly a 400-yard shot, but that's in a straight line between where he shot from and the goat. It's rough terrain. We're really hunting and pecking our way up, trying to find tiny switchbacks we can use to lessen the big steps. We're about 2/3 of the way up from where the shot was taken. We're gonna get there, but this is real work, real work.
So for the last half an hour, Lucas and I have been yelling to each other, and I've been trying to give him directions on where we saw the goat fall from the ground, and they were way off for a second there. So yeah, we've been doing that for a while, and it seems they just found it, which is a huge victory for everybody. So they're gonna start skinning that right now. We're gonna get camp, the rest of it packed up, and we're gonna ready to go down and get out of here.
Brandon, you got your first mountain goat. How does it feel, buddy?
It was worth the trip up here. I mean, we've been fighting the elements the whole time, and last day paid off. Can't be happier, and appreciate the help by all these guys, and it's awesome.
It's really awesome. I mean, long shot, really tough find. It's been quite the morning.
Picture perfect.
Would have been nice if we would have had breakfast, but that's how things go. You gotta take the opportunity when it's there.
Yep.
All right, we got some work to do. Let's get at her here. We've gutted, skun out the goat. We've taken all the meat off the bone except for the hindquarters. We got those full hindquarters in the pack, so we are ready to trek down this rocky maze. We're gonna head right down to camp. Gavin and Zach have been packing up camp. They're gonna take 2 heavy packs, leave us 1 heavy pack, and then we'll have the goat. So I'm basically gonna take the goat, and they're gonna take, the 3 of them are gonna take 4 people's gear. So we're all gonna be pretty weighted down on the way down, but let's hope we have a safe descent, at least through this rocky part here. This is probably going to be the worst part of our trip down, so we're off.
How'd it go?
That was a workout, man. It was like, yesterday was tough because we went up 600 additional feet. You know, we went 1,800 to 3,100 yesterday. We went 1,800 to 2,500 today, but the real tough part was the rocks. They were all, it was just iced over this morning before the sun got out. It was so slippery getting up. That was a big challenge. It slowed us down a lot. And then of course now I've got 60, 70 pounds on my back, so that is a workout. But it went well.
And we got a goat.
We got a goat.
There you go.
We got a goat. Your guys' help was huge.
Which I told them
We would have never found it. Okay, we've got the goat packed, we got all our gear packed. We're ready to head down the mountain. We've got to descend 1,800 feet down to the dinghy, take the dinghy to the boat, and frankly hope they're both still there. So I hope this adventure is over, but stick around to the end just to make sure you don't miss anything.
Made it. And the dinghy's here. Couldn't ask for anything more.
Well, the trip down was grueling. 4 hours downhill, heavy packs. Basically, all of our packs were like 30% heavier because we had to give up one pack for the goat and then everyone had to take extra. So it was grueling. It took half the time to get down as it did to get up, which was the upside. But it was just as tough. It was only spread out over 4 hours instead of 8 hours, basically. So we're down here at the water. The dinghy's all good. We had it stashed in the brush. Brandon and I are gonna jump in the dinghy. We gotta go a mile to the boat. We stashed that in another little cove. So that's the last major obstacle to overcome, is making sure the boat is there and we can get that up and running and out of here. So we still got some work ahead. We're gonna get to it and we'll catch up again, hopefully with the boat. All right, so we have prepared our first mountain goat meal, and I'm really looking forward to it. So tonight we've prepared the heart, the liver, we've prepared a section of the backstrap, as well as the tenderloin. So we're all eating some various pieces of that, and I think we're going to enjoy it. Even the heart, Brandon. So, I guess, bon appetit.
This is my first time eating liver.
Let's see. And this is my first time eating heart.
Thought they were onion rings at first.
That's what the heart looks like. I actually like the heart.
Heart's way better than liver.
I like liver. I have my whole life. But it's one of those things where you like it or you don't, and it's not some taste you're probably going to acquire.
Sure.
You know.
You should at least try it.
The liver? No thanks. I've been down that road.
Really?
I've made up my mind.
Okay.
You're right. The heart is a little chewy, but
The outside. But the inside is really good.
Mm-hmm. The inner tenderloin, ton of marbling. Super good.
Doesn't taste that much different than beef, right? I mean, it just tastes like a good steak.
I was gonna say it doesn't taste gamey.
Well, as you saw in this episode, we had a great plan going into it, and the conditions really pushed us off our plan, and we were scrambling just to survive. With that said, we had two main objectives. One was for all of us to get back safe. Two was to harvest a goat. We met both of those objectives, and I'm really happy with how the trip turned out. Remember, if you enjoy our content, please subscribe. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to like it and share it with others. Last but not least, don't forget to be notified when our new content is released. Thanks, everyone.